Sound, Karma, Music, Podcast. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Welcome to Sound Karma Song Spotlight, episode 62. I'm your host, Big Zach. This podcast is all about new music discovery. It's a grassroots movement to support established artists, indie artists, everything in between. You know, we're all here to support each other. It's all about the music. We cover all types of music. Just about any genre you can think of, just about any style you can think of. You know, a lot of these artists can't tour right now because of situations. And you know, there are so many talented people all around the world that don't get the attention that they should. That's what this is all about. So if you hear a track that you like, go ahead, download it. Buy it on iTunes, get it off Bandcamp, off the artist's website. Put it on your Spotify playlist, your YouTube playlist. Anything to support these artists. If you're a fan of a band or an artist, or if you're a singer, or if you're in a band yourself, we love submissions. Send us your latest track. Best way to do that is probably through the submissions page at soundkarma.com. It has everything you need right there. And if we can spotlight your music, we absolutely will. All right, let's get to it. Nix Dadry is a super talented artist. Like so many other artists, he was in a band for a while and then he went solo. His first album had a particular sound to it. His new EP is a little bit different, and that's where things kind of get crazy. You know, you hear some fans, and a lot of times with critics, where an artist or a band will start out with one particular, quote, sound on an album, and then their next album will be completely different. You know, you hear people say all the time, oh, you know, their second album sounds totally different from their first. They're not authentic to their true self. Or if they try to duplicate the same thing or have the same sound, then other people will say something like, oh, you know, they're just trying to recreate the first album and it sucks. Or the worst is when people say, oh, they changed, they sold out. You know, here's the thing. Artists have to do all kinds of different things. It's okay to have a different sound. It's okay to experiment. It's okay to explore. It's okay to expand. You know, it's okay to be creative, however that creativity comes out. So if it's the same, it's the same. If it's a little bit different, it's a little bit different. If it's totally different, who cares? Maybe it's a totally new sound for them. It doesn't matter. The point is that these artists are creating music. And that's what keeps things interesting. But the thing with Nix Dadry is this guy has a purpose. He has a mission. And this is where he varies from other artists. He's out to help artists succeed, not just himself. He's out for everybody. His people say, quote, Nix has a lot of respect for fellow artists under the radar and would like to reclaim music for those who actually have something to say, end quote. And to be honest, that's what Sound Karma is all about. The same exact thing. That's why we love what Nix Dadry is doing. This is his latest track. It's called Istanbul.
Days ahead, I knew I'd be alone, so I jumped on a plane to meet someone. Been wasting my time not feeling full, so I make my way out to Istanbul. I've been blinded, and now I know. In the city I'm landing, my native tongue slow.
Sixth Crowd is the solo project of Daria Maximova. She's an electronic producer and singer from the Ukraine. If the name kind of sounds familiar, you may remember that she was the former frontwoman and synth and bass player for On the Wane. This is somebody who knew that they wanted to be in music from the very beginning. You know, as a kid, she wanted to be a choreographer. That didn't happen per se, but she is totally into dance and music. In fact, she took a dance and music program when she was in Germany in 2018. That's really when she found her calling. Before that, you know, she was one of those artists who's kind of looking for her place. Well, she found it a couple of years ago. It's like the creativity awoke. It was like waking up a sleeping giant. You know, when she was in On the Way and she started creating electronic music. Well, the band ended up breaking up. So at that point, what do? Do you join another group? Some do, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But Dari didn't. She took a course on electronic music production, and you know, there's a lot involved with music production. You don't just, you know, slap some beats down or you hit a couple buttons and magic happens. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. This is a track that was written before the whole COVID-19 started. And it's really super appropriate for what's happening now. It's really, really relatable for what we're all going through. We have to remember to stay connected with people, but not be isolated, not be alone. There's a big, huge difference. This video reflects that. When you watch the video, there's a ton of footage created by quarantined people. They took their own footage. All these people may be, quote, alone in isolation, but we're all together and we're all joining together through music. That's what this video is all about. This track is on the brand new EP called The Void, which will be out on Friday, May 15th. This track, though, is available now. It's Sixth Crowd, You're Not an Island. Are an alt-rock band from Nashville. Parker Forbes and Cole Schubert started the band in 2018, so they haven't been together as a band in this form for all that long. It's only been a couple of years. However, they both played together in other bands. They did that for like a decade, and that's how a lot of bands work, There's a guy who's in one band who maybe knew somebody from another band who maybe played with somebody at one point, and so while particular incarnations of bands may be fairly new, most members have worked together or they've traveled in other circles, for many, many years. It really just takes a lot of, who knows who and who's played with who, and I know a guy who, did this and they were great and they would be really great for this sound. And so it's really just a matter of finding your way, and a lot of times it takes 10 years to do that. Find the right combination of people. They've done that. There's a lot of references to the Criticals being one of these DIY bands. They've really paid their dues. They've gone through the process. They've done a lot of things themselves. This track is from their debut EP. This is the Criticals with Talk Now.
Last one in sight. You tripled your score while he checked his pulse, and now you're free to let yourself ignite in a strange place with an ancient face. I can talk now. They don't ever wanna hear us out. I can talk now. Trying to balance all the fluctuating doubt.
Matthias and the Canyons is the solo project of Matthias Haavisto. He's a singer-songwriter. If you've heard of the band Steven Seagulls, he is known as Herman, who is also the banjo player in the group. And they do a lot of, covers, like they did a bluegrass cover of AC/DC. They do a bunch of really unique takes on some very iconic songs. Very talented group of musicians. This is Matthias's solo project. It's completely different. The group as a whole is based in Finland. Dude has an amazing voice. He's super, super talented. And normally, being May, getting into, this time of year, he should be out, touring with the band and playing fairs and festivals. And, well, obviously nobody can tour right now. So, looks like they've kind of got the summer off with no work. So does that mean that they shut down? Absolutely not. The whole COVID-19 is really forcing people to find new ways to do things that we've always done. It's almost like a fresh start. That includes the music business as well. So right now he's working on releasing some live versions of several songs. They're also creating new music. And so you think, okay, well, how are you going to do that? You can't really congregate. You can't, get a bunch of guys together in a studio. No, they're working on new music remotely. He told us, quote, Matthias and the Canyons is also planning a remote recording session of new songs. Recording an entire song between 4 people in 4 different locations is something we haven't tried yet. Should be fun. Sounds pretty interesting. This is from their debut album. This is Matthias and the Canyons. The song is called Gloomy Days.
Can you see the colors glow on a gloomy day? So we
Shendo is an indie rock band from Wakefield in New York, in the UK. These guys are all really, really young. You know, we talk sometimes about how all these bands have been around and people have, taken 10 years to be in different bands and before they finally find the right combination. That's not the case with this one. This is a little bit different. Everybody in the group is somewhere between their upper teens and early 20s. So unless they started playing when they were like 4 years old, they haven't had the time to experiment with different people and different sounds and being in different bands and finding their way. They haven't been together that long either, only about maybe a year and a half or so. And they really have a straightforward type of story. The group was founded by two brothers, Charlie and Joe. Then they added Ethan on drums. They did some ads to try to find their bassist, and then they ended up finding Matt. And that kind of rounded out the group. Not a whole lot of drama, but it works. They just released their debut EP. It has 2 songs on it. This is one of them. This is a Shendo. The song is called Bonafide.
Sing my symphony. Set me free. Just sing my symphony. Set me free, yeah.
Mint is a rock band from the UK. All 4 dudes in the band, Zach, Veggie, Lenny, and Bambi, all went to the same school, but they all had different tastes in music. This is where bands get really interesting. They didn't all just sit down and say, hey, we want to play rock music. Let's start a rock band. They all had these different styles that they were really into, which this is the kind of thing that helps round out a band's sound. You'll see what we mean as soon as you hear this track. They all studied at Grimsby Institute. Things, and I know we're oversimplifying this, but things really started to look obvious, like they needed to start making music together. They really kind of got serious about it in 2018. They've seen their struggles. Zach, for example, pro skateboarder and surfer. He was learning graphic design at night, but at the same time, he's also running a local surf shop during the day. That's dedication right there. Lenny works at a cafe next door. Bambi and Veggie both had factory jobs. So you see, they're doing a lot of stuff, but they're still devoted to the music. They're still dedicated to the music. And that's what it takes to make it. And they have something to say, too. They're not just, slapping some music down. They actually have a purpose. They say, quote, we grew up with social media all around us, and we were recounting stories in Jimmy Mac's tour bus, laughing about our school days with Facebook parties, pictures you weren't meant to see, and finding amazing music. A few days later, I was reading about yet another teenager greatly troubled with mental health issues and the role the internet played. I had also been keeping up to date about this Me Too movement and yet another profiled predatory pervert taking advantage of aspiration. End quote. They're making music that counts. You'll see what we mean in this track. It's Mint. The song is called Turbulence.
We got the turbulence, but we need our lights and the aftertaste of panic in the back of your mind. You gotta get out the hole where there's just nothing to cry. You gotta keep for the score, you gotta take it to ride. Yes, I'm a pinball from the view of the ball. And I'm hit everything I see, I never fall. But when I hit between the battles as it eats me whole, I'm the panic all of yellow, man, it's all I go. This is your captain speaking.
Mauve is a pop singer from Toronto. She's only 23 years old, but when you hear her voice, you'll think that she's probably been around forever. She sounds so mature. She's already won a bunch of awards. She's been nominated for a bunch of others. And there's a good reason why. She writes, she sings, she composes her own music, she writes her own lyrics, she plays piano and guitar. She's got one of those voices that commands attention. This is one of these singers you can't ignore, even if you tried. She understands that to create great music, you really have to live it. You can't write about stuff you don't know about. It just doesn't work. She says, quote, I'm not one to create a song that is dull or meaningless to me. So that's why I want all of my work to feature splashes and pops of colors that sparks life and creativity to those who are listening. Mauve is what the early stages of international superstardom look like. The new EP is called Palette. It is available now. This is Mauve with Brand New.
All the pain is in the past. I'm fine with that. I can't wait for you to see me as brand new. 'Cause I know that I've had enough.
final featured track is from a band called Trope. They're an alt-rock band from Hollywood, California, been together since around 2016, played a bunch of iconic venues around LA, like Whiskey A Go-Go, the Viper Room, they played Summerfest, which is a really big deal. This is a powerful band. They have a big, huge, powerful, commanding sound. Diana Strudenberg is their vocalist. She can go from soft and empathetic types of sounds to big and bold and aggressive in a second. The first song from the new album is Shout. It's a remake of the classic Tears for Fears track. And so you think, why would an alt-rock band do a remake of an 80s pop tune? Because of the lyrics. It has a message they believe in. Diana says, quote, "Those one-track minds that took you for a working boy, kiss them goodbye. You shouldn't have to jump for joy." She says, how many of us have been in situations where you're mistreated and looked down on by people who just don't recognize our value? I believe in life we shouldn't have to placate or put on a clown face and do a happy dance to appease people who behave toxically towards us and lack the foresight to really see who's in front of them. I see this whole song as a reaffirmation of value and strength and of our ability to move past these situations and people and towards the things that help elevate us emotionally and spiritually. And that's how you change a song and make it your own and reapply it to current times and situations. If the message speaks to you as a singer, it will translate and speak to fans as well. This is the first track from their new album. This is Trope with Shout. Here are this week's bonus tracks you need to check out. Women of the Night, Moscow Mansions. Sebastian Mullert, Views of Nat Hall. Vega Maestro, The Curriculum. We have a second track from Women of the Night. This one's called Be Careful What You Wish For.
I got you on repeat. Girl, be careful what you wish for. You got my number on speed dial. You only call me when you need to. When I'm finished, I'll admit it. 5:30 as the city empties out. I could just be a part of yours.
Silent Theory, 6 Feet Under.
So I guess this is what it looks like. Are we keeping score? They stoke the flame and then stake the claim that we got exactly what we asked for. Without a shadow of a doubt, we've lost ourselves. Open fire on the crowd. It's what we do so well. We see. We'll be 6 feet under. Make no mistake, it's bound to happen one way or another.
Carly Shay, Forever.
I could stay ready with you. Forever. All the things that we
Superfecta, Mannequin. Felicity, Twisted Love.
So baby, give me that twisted love, twisted love, twisted love. You know I need that twisted love, twisted love, twisted love. You know I need that twisted love, twisted love. Baby, you know I need that. So you can
Russell Taylor, Come Morning.
I beseech you, we move like shadows in the ether, low speaking. I wanna feel like this forever, baby.
Always said I'd never fall until you came and climbed my wall. Let my hair down to the floor. You got tonight, but nothing more.
Yeah, I say that you want it, but I'll be gone, come on.
Catherine Alley, Misty Me.
I'm just a cloud over your head. Let me watch away what you dread. 'Cause I
Teepee, Hazel Trees.
Storm the ladder they wait. We scatter the fear, the spark, growing delight. Another venture, slow gesture would bring you close to overdose. Soft trace there to embrace me tenderly, like it's meant to be. Breathlessly, they're watching me.
Lucio, Somebody.
So when you love me, alright, I'm not somebody, I'm not somebody. So when you love feel right, I'm not somebody, I'm not somebody. So when you love.
I Am a Rocket Ship, My Nature.
I put you in danger. You know it's just my nature. A secret arrangement. You know it's just my nature. You know it's just
Synapson, Yikes, featuring Bangiziwe, Mabandla. Loudhound, Melancholy Boy. Minhee Jones, 6 Feet.
oceans make you feel okay. Get you through the days. Potions make you feel alright. Sleep you through the nights. Fizzy in the morning when it all gets a little boring.
I'm gold, not me, us.
Not me, not me, it's not about me, it's about Earth, and that means all of us. Daughter can't wait for her chance. Grandma can't wait.
Andrea Capozoli, Last Goodbye.
I said my last goodbye. Ooh, goodbye. Moving straight ahead, holding my head up high. Ooh, got no more tears to cry. Oh, 'cause I've said my last goodbye. Ooh. You can beg me to stay.
Weston Smith, Eleanor. And finally, Anthony Rubery, Paranoia.
I got these voices in my head telling me everything you've been saying about me. I got something for ya. They call it paranoia. Roll up and then blow some. So lost in the smoke, man. I'm so lonesome. I need you to come home now. Far off where I've grown from. And maybe it's just my head talking.
So there you go. That's this week's Sound Karma Song Spotlight. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sound Karma Song Spotlight anywhere you get your podcasts. If you have any submissions for artists or songs you'd like us to highlight, let us know. Contact us on the submissions page at soundkarma.com. We think all music should be heard. Sound Karma. All music, all artists, all the time. Thanks for listening. I'm Big Zach. Over and out.